got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.
All right, guys, it's time to pump it up. It's time to pump it up. We have lots of altcoins actually starting to break out right now. Bitcoin putting in one of its biggest moves in a long time. Let me just connect my headphones so I can bring my guest on stage. So lots happening in the market. In today's video, we're going to talk about why I'm a little bit more optimistic today, why some of the setups on alts actually look quite good. I have Paradise here to give me, I'll bring him up just in a second, to give me a bit of a level head on where this move could potentially go. The reason I'm excited is because I've had some of my best trades in a long time. If you're in the Discord AMA yesterday, you'll know I identified like the Sui trade and some other trades. And yeah, these coins are up 38% today. Farcoin's up 33%. I know Paradise, you smashed your Farcoin trade. IMX 60%, FET 38%. We also identified AI coins in the last video as the ones to run. And overall, I'm just a bit euphoric because I don't do this very often, but I did actually call, I called the bottom this time. I usually don't do that, to be frank. Like, it's very hard to pick bottoms, but these two videos during the fear, why I'm buying Bitcoin now, everyone's wrong. I'm effing scared, but I'm buying Bitcoin stocks and crypto. Here's why. Bitcoin bottom is in 8 days ago, when we're still at 82K. Now we're sitting at 93.5. So I feel like in the Discord, we've all played it pretty well. And on the channel, we've played it pretty well. But Paradise, how are you feeling?
I'm good, thank you, man. Nice intro.
Big intro. And I tweeted it as well. I had this funny, I'll get in. Yeah, there's lots to talk about today. I want to go through my watch list. I want to go through my, the coins to avoid right now, because actually 90% of alts don't look good right now, but 10% do, which I'll talk about. But I posted a similar intro on my Twitter this morning. So anyway, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. Not as euphoric as you, but yeah, doing pretty well.
I guess I'm euphoric because I haven't made that much money in the last few months, and then today I've made a shit ton, comparatively.
Yeah. Well, the move happened in the US session when I was asleep, so that's why dragging. But still in some positions, still doing well. But yeah, it's nice to wake up to this morning. I did not expect such a pump. I expected it to sort of find resistance at various levels, which we can go over in a bit. But yeah,
this is the daily, bro. This is that's the weekly, but this is the daily, like 40%, 30. Like, these aren't small moves. Like, these are double-digit moves.
Bull market moves.
Yeah, they are. I mean, obviously, it's been horrible. We're not going to sugarcoat it. It's been a crap few months, but this is nice. So I think the best. You know what? Let me start, and then I'm going to move to the expert here on the charts, and not the chart larper. But no, I'm kidding. I mean, my trading style is very different. I use more higher time frame charts. Obviously, use higher leverage, lower time frame stuff. But just generally speaking, why this move's happening. Well, firstly, things were massively oversold. That's something I discussed at the time as to why I was actually buying. And I also talked about it yesterday, how Bitcoin decoupling from the NASDAQ and tech stocks and SPX was actually quite a bullish sign. It was following on the same track as gold. So we pointed that out in yesterday's show. The day before that, I actually spoke about Tau. Tau right now is up. What's Tau up? It's up quite a lot. I can't see it here. Maybe it's not that bullish on the day, but I know on the week it's been up a lot, 41%. So that's been a big mover. A lot of the subnets are moving. But yeah, just the reason why this happened, obviously the Bitcoin decoupling, I think, gave people confidence, but there's two major macro developments which I think happened overnight that I guess triggered this next wave of bullishness for stocks and also for crypto as an extension of that. The first one was the Secretary Bessent saying that the tariff standoff with China is unsustainable and expects de-escalation. That was the first time he's kind of softened on the China stuff. Trump also saying that he expects a bunch of deals. We saw a couple hints at that yesterday, which got the market excited. But I think the main thing was actually the fact that Trump has kind of backflipped on some of the stuff he's saying around Jerome Powell. And he said he actually has no intention of firing Fed Chair Jay Powell. He repeated his call for lower interest rates. We think that is the perfect time to lower the rate, and we'd like to see our chairman be early or on time as opposed to late. So I don't know what's happened behind the scenes, but he's softened with his power rhetoric, which the market actually likes, because a big issue before was basically like how it could undermine the entire monetary system if he actually finds a way to force Powell out. So the markets wouldn't have liked that uncertainty. And I think Trump's come to his senses, realized this, and kind of backed off and actually done a bit of a 180 there. So I think that in conjunction with the de-escalations and that combined with the fact that we had a bullish, I guess, divergence on Bitcoin versus equities following gold has been the setup here for a big move into a pretty oversold market. So that's pretty much the rundown on why we pumped. But Paradise, tell me where we're going now based on the charts, or at least how the charts are looking from a technical point of view, because that stuff's obviously fundamentally driven.
Yeah, I thought we'd start on the weekly because we haven't streamed together in a couple of weeks, but last few streams, just discussing the weekly money noodle has just been a phenomenal barometer for a bottom every time, kind of reached the lower band on it. Now you see these wicks here, but like if you actually zoom in, we've never had a close below the bottom band since we actually flipped it back in January 2023. So, if we're looking forward, like if we start pushing up here, make new all-time highs or whatever, and we get some pullback one day into the weekly noodle again, any wicks below and a close above, that's kind of like, proven time and time again for the last few years. It's been a really good buying opportunity for bigger positions or spot or whatever you're playing.
That was what my sauna video was about, like a while ago. The money noodle when we're at like 79, and how I was going to be bidding the noodle from 75 to 80k. This video here. So yeah, it's been quite a nice indicator that the market has actually respected. But we did deviate a little bit below to like freak people out during the intra week.
Yeah, this thing. But the thing is, like with always, I mean, for me anyway, it's always based on the close, the candle close, because the wicks look pretty hairy. Like this one down here in the on the 5th of August, this was a giant one below, but we managed to close the weekly back and back inside, also above the basis. But yeah, I saw there was a neat chart to look at. So once again, we've pushed very hard off that. Right now, what we're doing, we are at weekly resistance, like smack bang on it. I can actually flip to another chart. I'll actually go to this first. So these are the monthly levels that I've marked out. This is monthly support and resistance. You can see we're now coming back into that after a strong move up. So there's quite a few points of confluence here for not a rejection so much, but for resistance to be found. This is a chart I was looking at earlier today.
And that was the prior range low, like that we discussed, I remember, for like 180 days. Correct. Last year. That was the level we kept harping on about. And then we had a couple like huge deviations above it, like 98 that took us to 110 for like 1 or 2 weeks. And then we ended up puking again. So it's a significant level that we're playing off right now. A reclaim would be huge, but obviously that would take like 1 to 2 weeks to actually, or probably 2 weeks to confirm.
Yeah, well, effectively we have reclaimed that, but like basically this is a value area volume profile of the prior range before we dropped. So it sort of stops when we started nuking down. We're trading back into the value area low. If we accept back in there, then we can look for a rotation up to the other side. But until then, it's still like could be seen as resistance at this time. Also is I thought I had it on this chart.
If people wonder what I'm doing, I've got my thermal water spray. It gets very hot under the studio lights, so I like to spray it. I do it mid-take on the edits, but since this is live, you guys are now seeing me do it live. In case you're wondering, like, what the hell is he spraying on his face? Feels so good, by the way. Get some thermal water spray. If you're ever hot, just bring that shit in your bag. Perfect solution. This video with the swearing and the music's definitely getting demonetized. I'm going to lose my $50 today, guys. I'll have to plug a ref link. Let's plug something in the description. Guys, sign up for Weex. Link in the description below. Huge sign-up bonuses we got going. Actually, no, we do have a very big bonus. We have a Bitcoin Lucky Wheel spin right now. It will be I'm joking, but it will be in the description. It's actually quite good. Anyway.
You can plug mine instead.
Yeah.
So,
plug them.
Trading back into old value of the old range, trading back into the range lows, also trading to the yearly open. So, quite a few points of confluence here. Not so much to short and look for a move down to new lows, but to sort of see potential consolidation or rejection back down. Now, I don't know if we get back down to this 86K range high breakout. I think that would be a bit too easy. Like as we saw down here, we're actually talking about this, I think on the last stream we did together. this level was front run, the old range high, purely for the reason that you want to see it front run. If buyers step in before then, we had basically like a double bottom scenario. If buyers step in before then, it shows demand in the market. So you don't really want price to come down to these levels. Conversely, I think like same thing here. I think we could find some sort of consolidation here, but I don't know if we get the gift of getting down to 86K again to load up positions. But I think, just any sort of retrace in this, I'm just looking for basic things like noodle retests on the H4 and the H1. And we'll go over that in a bit. But what you were saying before about the range low, if we're just drawing it from like a support resistance standpoint, we're pretty much accepted back inside it now. Now we saw what happened here with the Trump news when it ripped back inside and then dumped and made fresh lows after that. I don't think that's going to happen now unless we get some sort of like massive headline that just sends us down. In terms of like technicals, this is quite good, but seeing us accept back inside the range lows here at around 92K, that makes me think on the side of I want to look for longs based on trend. So I simply will be going into things like the hourly noodle, the 4-hour noodle, maybe the 15, depending how bullish stuff is. And then I'm just looking for points of interest around those key levels. So that's that range low right there that we just marked out. See, I have a very nice like hourly demand there. We've got the hourly money noodle coming into it. It's kind of my bread and butter setup for stuff. So I'll have alerts there. If we start tracing down under that, then I'll be going to like the 4-hour noodle and look for POIs around that. This is kind of how I just stay in line with the trend. Obviously, you're going to honor the higher time frame. Now that would line up with coming down to like the range highs we marked out here, around 86K, give or take. Oh, it's about 88K, sorry. So that'd be the next sort of place I look for longs if we don't respect the H1 noodle and the H1 POI. And I think this is where I would start going heavier into spot bags with the assumption that we trade up.
But you are looking for longs, right? Like in terms of just general
100%.
Directional bias, you're mostly looking for these retrace longs?
Yeah, I'm not looking for shorts currently. I'm more just waiting for long opportunities to form. And that's basically the H1 or the H4 noodle because I'm just trying to trade in line with the momentum. Now, if we don't get that, if we don't get the gift of that, then I think we just need to look at where the yearly open is and kind of assume, you can't really see it in here because it's got this monthly level, but that's a monthly pivot level there. I've got the yearly open. I think we start flipping that, start trading above it and accepting up here. Potentially we don't even get the retrace and this is sort of the new low. And this is where, you can kind of look for positions. We also have a 3-day supply up here. It's like a bearish order block, you can call it, bearish supply. We start getting trading inside this. Like this is obviously another point for resistance, but we start sort of getting inside and flipping that, then we can potentially look for these highs to be challenged up here because it's quite a high time frame point of interest.
My opinion is, in terms of my fundamental like outlook right now, obviously we opened, super bullish just for a bit of fun. But in terms of like my actual trading strategy, I don't think this is. I mean, obviously I made my big buys like 75 to 80K. I don't think this is the place to like look for new longs on Bitcoin. If anything, as I discussed in yesterday's video, like I'm looking to ladder out some of those buys to lock in profits. Where I am more interested though is trading some of the mean reversion, like breakout momentum, like trades on alts, which we're going to talk through a bunch of setups today because there are like many just quick catch-up trades at the moment. So my main focus is like not positioning, super long-term right now because obviously we've just had, one move. It's more so on actually just like scalping these moves and trying to play continuation on moves if the setups allow for it. And then, longer term kind of treating my long-term portfolio separately because otherwise you can get really like how people mess up is there's a short-term move like this, they get all excited and then they start positioning long-term spot. They're actually different portfolios. Your long-term portfolio has its own objective. It's fundamentally like undervalued things long-term. You're typically bidding high time frame levels. You typically got like bigger invals and then, your short-term trading basket, which is very active for me at the moment and yours as well, Paradise, and we'll discuss some of the setups today. That's how you take advantage of these moves. So even people that are like sitting back right now going, damn it, Miles, I missed the bottom. I'm feeling the FOMO. Should I start buying alts now? Although it's a valid question, I think you have to like reframe it and reverse engineer. Like, firstly, what's your time frame on this move? Because if you think it's got maybe like a few weeks of headroom, which is kind of my vibe, then you're actually better off just looking for the best short-term trading setups and treating them as exactly that, trades, instead of trying to like position super long-term based on a move. So there are definitely some great setups right now. Just don't like convince yourself into like super long-term positioning based on like short-term hype. Just want to make that clear and give a bit more nuance to my strategy right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, I agree with this. I agree with that
Yeah.
to the point where I think the PopCat chart's a fantastic reference for it. So I think in terms of like popular coins at the moment, Filecoin's probably the only one where, yeah, you've potentially missed like a good chunk of the run. Maybe it makes new all-time highs and there's still like a lot to take from that if it gets up there. Maybe it doesn't. It's neither here nor there. But I think a lot of things right now are looking like Filecoin. And naturally with Filecoin pumping, memes are going to catch a bid. And we've seen that on stuff like Velodyte. You can see it's a leading sector at the moment. We're sort of slowly seeing rotations too, like that obviously rotate into AI. It's just like the classic, rotation game plan that we've seen.
AI
in
is
the past.
the strongest sector right now for sure. So like a lot of my long conditions, which I'll discuss soon in this video, are like surrounded around the AI coins. Speaking of Filecoin, by the way, nice trade that you had. I mean, you would have made even more. You made 537 on that, which is already insane. But it went to 117, so you would have made, I think, like done like 900% if you kept it open.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I was actually streaming and I forgot to remove my limit orders. I saw it pump, like, cool, let's take profit at $1 and scale up from there. But yeah, that's all right.
It was a good call, though. It was a very good
I've taken
call.
like 6 trades on this since the bottom, so it's been really good. This is
and you
printing.
can keep doing that too. You could just trade, exit, look for another setup trade, and just keep playing like that uptrend.
That's exactly what I was doing with this. This had a massive 3-day divergence. I posted in the group like a couple of months ago. So if you think it has a future, it's probably not a bad place to pick up spots around here somewhere. I picked up a bit, but I sold too quickly. Obviously, conditions are a bit scrappy, so I sold it into this low, which is like a 60% move. But since then, it's done like 400%. But it's been a really good level-to-level play on Filecoin because we've got this wick high up here, but also is support. Resistance. It just plays level to level very cleanly. So it got up, sort of did the old sort of cup and handle pattern. This is a really nice long in here because it lined up with the daily noodle, I believe it was. Yeah, so I had a lot of confidence. That's why I had a spot in here. I sold it, but then I'd just been trading perps the whole way up. But this is a really nice one because, this is the bread and butter setup when we're looking for trend flips. And I know level flips, trend flips. I know you've been posting charts like this today as well in the group. But it's just simple.
My favorite setups right now.
100% mine too. Simple SR flips. Then you line it up with the noodle retest there and you get the benefit of the stochastic reset as well. So like your final sort of solidifier there. But yeah, it's been a really simple one, level to level. But I think a lot of stuff is looking like that now. And, just from scanning comments on Twitter and like some people in the group and stuff, I've seen a lot of people like feeling a bit of FOMO because they think they've missed the move. You haven't missed anything. Like I said, I think Filecoin is potentially the only one where it's done a good chunk now. So maybe the RR isn't as good. But Sui too. But like this is the pattern we're looking for. This is the sort of thing we discussed on the last stream we did together. Just looking for these rounding bottoms, and then we look for like a trend reclaim in line with that. PopCat gave a really peachy one there. So that's a 3-day divergence. 1 sec.
I'll show people why you're getting that chart up, what I like and what I don't like. So this is prime, right? I don't like a chart like this because it's just making lower lows and it's just got a lot of work to do. So that's not really a clear setup for me. I don't really like, charts like Beam, even though you could argue this is a double bottom. That's just not how I trade. So I'm just giving you a couple of examples of charts I don't like. And then like anything, and a lot of them look like that. They're just making lower lows. They haven't reversed. I like setups more like this. Like FAI, for example, it's put in, it's, double, you could argue this week, triple bottom, now starting to flip money noodle. The only thing it doesn't have is high time frame confluence. It has range low that form, but it isn't flipping any key level. So if you want to look for both of those confluence points, Sui was a great one last night, but right now you've got a coin like Mu, I think was the one I spotted earlier this morning. Let me get it up, like this one, which you have that money noodle flip, which it respected quite well in the past, and then you have like a key reclaim happening on like a major resistance level. So SR flip in play, and coins like Million as well now starting to show signs that like they're not quite there, they're only just starting to reclaim. So like these are the ones that I like. Pepe started to put in its lows, technically a higher low. You have the money noodle, so moving indicator flip as well. These are the things that I like, as opposed to the ones that are just making downtrends, because the risk reward on the trades in the short terms are much better in my opinion. But I'm back on your screen now.
Yeah, I'm more of a level reclaim trader as well. Like honestly, you can do things two way. two ways. You can either like draw a range out for something like PopCat when we're on the lows, something like that, and you're just looking to bid each retest, and you're sort of just theorizing that price will go up from there and the downtrend has ended. Or you can pretty much buy the range breakout, which is what I do a lot of time in line with momentum. But I think a lot of people are just, beating themselves up today. And social media is famous for just making you feel terrible for your entry. Someone always got a better entry. Someone's always doing better than you. Farcoin, a lot of altcoins right now are still down 80% from their highs. Now, a lot of them won't go back to all-time highs, sure. Some of them will, but you shouldn't feel too bad. Really, if you're looking to buy a spot on something like PopCat, it can actually be up here. You can buy high. You shouldn't even be entertaining buying yet if you haven't bought the lows. You pretty much got two levels to buy. So it can be the high or the low. And I think just simple reclaims in line with trend, in line with the market just pushing up, that's a really nice spot buy there. And you can just start scaling out at key levels on the way up. So message there is just don't beat yourself up. There's still a lot of really good setups forming on the high time frame. And since Farcoin has sort of led the way, obviously memes have followed. I think PopCat, Pepe, Bonk is another one. They're just all going for these high time frame pivot flips. So I had Pepe alerts and Bonk alerts go off this morning. These are all showing 3-day divergences too. Now, naturally, when you get 3-day or weekly divergences on Awesome Oscillator and RSI, you're pretty much sort of gearing up for a major shift in trend. It's kind of how they work. And when they play out, it sort of ignites a run. So, Pepe is looking really good. If it starts flipping this level, sure, you've missed a move off the bottom, but, it's crumbs compared to what it could do once it flips these high time frame levels. Bonk is another one. We came down, tagged this weekly FEG, chopped about for a bit, formed the range, and once again, there's just another high time frame level. And this high time frame level is ubiquitous across the market, right? Like Sol did a brilliant one, and Sol can sort of show you what's to come from things like Bonk and Pepe and PopCat. This is obviously the key line in the sand for Sol. 127 has been for a long time. Every retest is bullish. We dipped below. It's pretty much a deviation. Now, once we reclaimed it, if we zoom into that, once we reclaimed it, came and retested it, and then it's just shot off. And I think your coins that are doing these level reclaims will do that. Now, it's not like everything that does a level reclaim will sort of do this. You need to be trading in line with what's showing demand on spaghetti charts or volume screeners or whatever. I reference this thing all day on a separate screen. It's really handy. But when you get those level flips, like you were saying, with the money noodle, that's kind of your confluence that the high time frame trend has shifted. And that's pretty much what we were looking for with BTC for the past month or two now. Daily trend just smacked price down the entire way. You can see this is pretty much the first time we lost daily trend was here. And
because you want to be longing during an uptrend, not a downtrend. So that's the reason why I like the momentum trading, especially as a spot guy. I don't use a lot of leverage. I think a lot of the leverage guys do really well, catching those quick scalps off lows, and then they can make a quick, move on a 10% spot move. Since that's not me, I only like to buy into trend shifts. So that's why I like that, a few of these setups are now breaking trend, and then I've got okay in val below. I also don't trade as high leverage as you. A lot of my things are 3x right now, so I don't really care honestly if I nail my entry. If I'm roughly on the right side of the trend, then I'm gonna make money. So it's also based on your own strategy. I don't have time. The reason I do this is because I'm really busy and focused on a million things. I don't have time to be scalping. So you got to find the strategy that aligns with your time constraints as well.
100%, man. I'm taking those scalps as an intraday trader, but there's no way when we have these high time frame trend flips that I'm just scalping micro moves. This is where I finally get the trigger to start positioning into high time frame swings. So I just adapt with whatever the market's showing me like that. But what I was going back to before, this is the first time we lost the noodle. Sorry, it was actually here where we closed under it, closed the body under the bottom. You remember how I talked about the weekly before, how we hadn't closed the body under it. So this was 79 days, just 80 days of chopping under the noodle. There was no long signals here for me. So there's plenty trading perps intraday, but in terms of positioning higher time frame swings, for me, it was always a close above the outer band of the noodle. Now we got that yesterday. Day before yesterday. And then we had an immediate reaction. We just had a really big pump after it. So this for me is where I start positioning in things. I've been holding Sol and Hype for a while, spot. But in terms of this is where I now say, all right, we can be more risk on. So I've kind of been risk off or short for a lot of this downtrend. Yeah. And if you just go to a line chart, it's really simple to see when we're above and below it. Yeah. And you can trade quite simply just based off this. You have level reclaims in line with that.
It's what I like to call like lights on versus lights off. Like lights on season is when there's risk appetite, and that typically happens during uptrends, and then lights off periods or seasons happen during downtrends when people are more conservative. And just because it's lights on doesn't mean it's going to be like a crazy old season. There are really huge lights blasting seasons, and then there are just like lights on seasons. And I think this is just the latter, like a decent, could be a decent move, but not, full out old season. I don't think the market's even ready for that for a while, actually, months probably. I had my prediction a couple of weeks ago where I said maybe like Q3, Q4 for something bigger once Bitcoin puts in a top, which I still think is coming, by the way. But for now, this is just a nice bit of relief where you can, play off these levels, and we'll talk about a few alts in a minute here, and hopefully make some good money in the short term. Which is just a nice thing to have after months of downtrend.
Yeah, I'll wrap up BTC in a sec. Just for the viewers, like kind of a simple barometer right now. We're above the daily noodle, so pretty much only looking for longs, for swings. And I think as long as we hold above that 88K range high level, pretty much just looking for long opportunities on lower timeframes. We start trading back inside that, then there's probably a lot of alts that are up quite a bit that will puke pretty hard. So that just opens up for shorts, right? So that's kind of the line in the sand right now there. It's just staying above daily trends, staying above that 88K level. I think anything above that, it's just, only look for longs. It should keep a lot of people out of trouble if they're sort of wondering where to short and whatnot.
All right, best setup time, bro. Sorry, I don't want to come across as rude, because I know some people in the comments like, stop talking over him. I always get that when I do interviews, like, stop talking over them. But I just want to know, bro. I just want to know what are the setups that you like the most at the moment?
I mean, it's pretty much this watch list
people
here.
Want to know.
I'm gonna have to flick through them pretty quickly, because I know I have a good habit of making these videos run quite long. Sui already did the move pretty much. It's back at range highs. It's coming into high time frame resistance.
Yeah, forget it.
If you didn't along the bottom, forget it. I think Jasmine's looking phenomenal.
Wow.
Japanese Bitcoin or whatever the law is with that one. This is a super high time frame
Japanese
pivot.
Bitcoin.
I can't remember what it is. There's just so many tickers. It's a proxy, right?
Chinese. No, it's Japanese.
Japanese
Bitcoin. Yeah.
High time frame support many times. Obviously tested as resistance, sold off, bouncing off the daily noodle, testing again. I think we break above that level, probably goes up to that high volume node there at least. So it's like an easy 25% trade. Sort of one I'm watching. Easy. I've just set alerts for everything currently, and I'm more looking for breakouts and pullbacks.
Oh, me like this.
Hey?
Me like this.
Oh, AS16Z, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are just smashed down so much. Like I said before, if you're fretting that you've missed anything, like I almost had to hit log chart just then because I couldn't fit the huge wicks on the screen. So, you haven't missed anything. You've missed the peak or low, but who cares? There's no glory in catching them. We're getting a trend reclaim here. We've just flipped a high time frame resistance into support. This looks really good. And if you're just trading level to level, you don't need to be a hero and go, I'm holding this till all-time high. I don't think that'll treat you well. There's 72% right there you can claim. Just going level to level, really simply looking for gap fills in the BRBP. Pepe and Bonk I went over, really simple. I think today, often I go over different strategies and stuff for trading low time frame scalping. Today is just simply what you've been posted to. High time frame levels, look for it to be flipped. Then you can go down low time frame, look for stuff. Popcat was the same, Bonk was the same. Trump's looking really good, in my opinion. And I think it'll just take one thing from him. This is one we have to put on log chart. There we go. It'll just take one thing said from him or one action he does. This is a deviation currently in my eyes. I think we've seen the worst of it with this. And we're testing the daily noodle from the underside. We're testing the range low. Obviously, we get above those two things. This is like a deviation reclaim. We look for the retest. You can take a move up. It's like a 30% trade right there. I just think Trump, has all the power. He's, new Elon in terms of what he can say to just move the market. And can just say things like covertly and still get away with it. Sol, we went over. So it's kind of what your altcoin longs could look like. We see those flips at the high time frame levels. XRP, I was watching this last night before bed, then went to bed and woke up to it already pumped. But I think this is going to do what it did before. I think this is just going to melt some faces and take out all these highs and probably make new highs.
Melt faces, wow.
Melt faces, yeah. Face melters, as they say here. Gun, just a new chart, posted in the group last night. Simple, range EQ flip and just trending up the noodle. I think
The
this is almost
valuation
played
on
out.
guns so low. Like, I think the thing with a lot of these new launches is they were so badly timed that
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, 37 mil market cap. I mean, the FDV's high, but there's not huge unlocks right now. But that, like, the market caps are low, the circulating's low, so like with things like that, they can go a lot higher. Nilion's in a similar boat where it's just been down only since launch, but like the market cap's like still sub 100 mil, like 80 mil for a new launch. So I think
Yeah,
at one of
yeah.
the hottest launches, if that launch, like it was one of like the top AI L1 proxies. If that was last year, it would have been 500 million, 600 million, but it's 90 or 80
Yeah, for
because the
sure.
market just sucks. So
Yeah.
the new stuff's interesting. There'll be a lot of new launches soon as well, but they're just pretty hard to play without price data, which is why I prefer, things like Gun and Nillion that have already like put in range lows, and then you have at least something to trade off. Otherwise, you got nothing to trade off, just valuations, which are like irrational half the time in crypto.
Mm. Yeah, there's a really good new coin listing pattern, which Den Toshi teaches on Twitter, that I trade quite a bit. So it's just like
a fractal.
Yeah, pretty much. You get something like this. This is generally how they pan out. You draw like a diagonal down here, and you just look for that diagonal to break in line with like reclaiming EMAs. And I just use the noodle. She has different EMAs, but generally pans out pretty well. Grass is another one we're looking at because it just cannot get above the range EQ. The noodle obviously doesn't need to be on because it's just chopping through it. But yeah, this is just like a pure price action one. We've got this untapped demand down here. We had all these stacked lows, which is kind of why we were looking for longs. They got taken out, but now we've got like this sort of inducement low. So I can see if this price can't get above the EQ, coming down and basically sweeping this into this range low and 4-hour demand. I think that'll make a really nice long up into the range highs. I know I got some angry villagers in your comments last time, so I went through these too quickly, but I'm just cognizant of not making this a 2-hour video again.
But also, it's like it's catch-22 because people drop off. The retention goes down when the video is too long, and then when it's too short, you get angry villagers in the comments. So it's like a lose-lose.
Yeah, that's okay though. They'll be happy soon enough. Tao,
We need
like
to keep it under 45 for the algorithm.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think an hour is ridiculous.
I've only got 2 more coins to get through after this.
Yeah.
Tao, really good. This breaker down here looks phenomenal. Basically a supply that failed. Now it's a demand. We've got a daily noodle down there, deviation under the range low, reclaim, retest, and pretty much probably rejecting the range EQ, give or take right now. So not quite there yet, but I can see it's coming down here and testing this. Once again, I don't have limits on anything. I've just got alerts set for all these things. So I trade them live on market orders. But I think this will make a really nice long up to the highs, especially if AI continues to move the way it is. Hype kind of just there because I'm in a trade at the moment. But, if we get rid of all this, hype is quite a nice looking chart. For what it is right now, we're coming up into the resistance, obviously. But I think, if we come back, pull back into any of these POIs, quite good. And CRV, it's like a phenomenal one on the noodle. Whoops.
I feel like eating ramen now. You talk about noodles a lot, bro.
What did I draw this on yesterday?
I actually really want ramen. It's just so hot in Dubai. It's like 35 degrees. It's not really like ramen weather.
I'm here with the central air conditioning on and 2 jumpers. It's coming into winter strong. Range high retest. We just diddled along the top of it. We're consolidating there, and I was looking for a push up into this, which we got. I just think CRV looks really good, just in terms of how it trends and also respects price action. So, I'm kind of looking for pullback into the daily noodle over time when we get some sort of nice retrace to just take out all these sort of weak highs over here. This is just stacked liquidity over here. Just imagine everyone has their stops above these that have been shorting it the way down. If they haven't taken profit, then they could get blown out quite quickly, and we could potentially make new highs on this. So early days yet, but that's what I'm watching. I think out of my favorite ones right now, it's going to be Trump, just because there's just potential for him to do something any second, and I think the technical setup's quite nice. Jasmine is looking really good just because of structure, and I think AR16Z, Popcat, Pepe, and Bonk are my other choices. And Filecoin too, it's pumped a lot.
Let's play a game. Let's do rapid fire. I'll give you a few setups that I like, and you can tell me whether I'm smart or an idiot, and chart them yourself.
Okay, pull them up.
Okay, so the first one is let's start with our favorite cat, Mew, because this one is kind of like Popcat, like beaten on Binance, but structurally better on the LPs.
This is not full chart history, but Yeah, it looks okay to me. It's not my favorite. I think there's a lot of chop around the noodle. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of trading into resistance right now, effectively. We mark this high volume node over here. So I think if it flips that, then yeah, this is not really anything to worry about here. But if it sort of gets the cabal thing it had last time, remember it was just getting manipulated hard by whatever influences on CT or whatever was going on there. If it does that again, then this thing can squeeze very hard, and I think it can make a move through that volume gap there. So like a nice 50% run. But I really think, to me, it needs to flip that level first. Obviously, you caught a nice lower time frame trade on it.
Yeah, I'm still in my long, so because I longed on the money noodle flip, on like the first flip, I kind of front ran.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm still in it. I'm just gonna hold, I think.
We are at resistance. Just take that. This is the highest point of transactions on the volume profile here. So
Gotcha.
it naturally will find some resistance. But if it closes above there, then I think that it will just move up quite quickly. Also, you can see where I drew this 50% level, filling the volume gap. It also lines up with the 200 EMA I have here, which is probably a bit hard to see. This dotted line.
All right, next one, Nillion. This is a new launch that I discussed before. It flipped on the 4 hour, flipped the noodle. I mean, it doesn't have that much price history, but still
Is it this?
momentum. NIL, yeah. Binance is probably best. It's
You
got a
reckon?
day
Or
one
next
launch.
day because it's older.
Got a day
better
one
Binance.
launch.
Yeah, lovely.
I think. So
I think there's something you should go over as well. You said something interesting in the video in the group before that I was listening to, that people should be focusing on coins that have centralized exchange perps listings.
Yeah.
If you want to expand on that. But yeah, Neil. Yeah, I got to get lower time frame. Yeah, this looks good. Once again, like everything kind of looks like this right now, though, right? We're doing these over/under reclaims.
Everything looks the same.
But like this was obviously, support, flipped into resistance, and it's just like popped through that quite quickly. Yeah, I like this one too. You've also got equal highs up here. So, going to be a nice draw, and they also give like a gap fill of liquidity. Whoops. Sorry.
I have another interesting one for you. I know we're going over all the new launches, but that's where I see like some squeezes happening. Bio. This was BIO. It's on Binance. It was a horrible launch. It was one of the top DeSci coins that I was interested in pre-launch. Then it launched horribly. So I was like, look, I'm not going to buy any. I'm going to wait. But maybe my days of waiting are over because it's finally starting to break out.
Let me find, maybe it's a spot chart. Yeah, I traded this thing when it launched.
Hope you shorted.
Can't remember. That's right. That listing VWAP thing, which Doc teaches. Yeah, I mean, this is the very, very first reclaim of Daily Noodle here. There's not much price history, so we can't really put that much credence in a Daily Noodle reclaim. Obviously
that's the only problem.
History. But it is trading right into resistance here. This is obviously the key pivot on the chart. I think a lot of people can also just not so much worry about what's support and resistance. Look for pivots where price interacts with the level a lot. You don't need to be so precise about it. But yeah, I mean, if you long from lower, I'd be taking profit here myself. That's how I run things. But I think if it flips this level too and the Daily Noodle here, then yeah.
Yeah, this isn't yet. By the way, this isn't there yet. I'm not long, but it's one that I was thinking of longing. I'm
going to move this to my watch list. I like this chart.
Yay, we got 1 out of 3.
Just look for a daily close above that one. Cool. Alert set. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the others that I have on my watch list were already on yours, so we're just going to be doubling up. So I'm not going to. Actually, Tau is one that. Actually, two. Tau and FAI. I think these are two.
Well, we did Tau already.
Okay, we did Tau. Yeah, that's right.
This is the range EQ.
Yeah. I wouldn't be longing here, but.
Oh, my bad. I left log chart on. That's fine. Shouldn't change anything. Yeah, I mean, this is the creamy buy down at like 280. So you can set alerts for 280. I think it's really good.
And then FAI, it's one of the only agent plays that's on Coinbase, and it actually put in lows, so it held its range low, which I like, and it's just now starting to look at maybe flipping the noodle. I think it is. You're going to say it's into resistance, I think. But
probably not the best chart. This is perps on MEXC. I use MEXC a lot because the liquidity sucks.
The best chart is actually MEXC because because it doesn't have much history.
Oops. FIA, did you say?
FAI.
FAI. Yeah, I remember Fabian talking about this in the group.
It's actually a good call. I mean, I'm still holding some spot, right? But I'm interested in trading it too because it's AI. AI is hot right now. It fits my criteria, which I'll just mention quickly. because I promised I'd do it before. This is the criteria I have for a lot of altcoin pumpers, like heavily shorted, oversold, strong underlying narrative, new upcoming catalyst, momentum indicator, flip, confluence. So these are like the 4 criteria I'm looking at for pumps, and it ticks a few of those boxes. So that's why I'm interested in the chart.
When I talked before about don't be so caught up in what support and resistance is, like you can just draw a box and call it a pivot. You can call it a bull bear pivot, like above you're bullish, below you're bearish. This is pretty much what this is right now. I just don't think this is much for technicals. I think this is probably just, long enough if there's some sort of fundamental news or something comes out, because, technically there's not much to go off. I'm sure these wicks are just native to MEXC because it's low
on
volume,
Coinbase.
low
It's got a Coinbase chart as well, but it's not as low liquidity.
I mean, if you're interested in this coin, let's be looking for bids into like 0.017. I know nobody can see my numbers over here because they're too small, but yeah, around this box. Obviously, it's proven to be support and resistance a bunch of times, so should hold until proven otherwise.
And then maybe ENA. I did you go through that one before, but I see it on your list, so I thought we should go over it because it didn't reclaim, but I want to see if it, but on memory, if it is.
I mean, if ETH has any sort of move, then we remember this and Pendle pretty much being the ones. Oh, it was ENS maybe. ENS too. I mean, all of them.
ENA as well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing much.
Nothing much yet.
Okay.
It's not even like, I mean, if it closes the daily like this, then effectively breaks bullish structure. So close above that, that's bullish market structure on the daily. So that's a good sign because it has not done that once since we've sold off on the top. So I think for a lot of people in the market, like I was saying before, they think they've missed stuff. Like, don't beat yourself up because this is what's known as like a risk entry for price action, but I'll just use the same terminology for a noodle. You can buy the first reclaim, right? Price can get up there and do this, and you can buy the first retest. There's always a chance it's like a deviation, and price does that, and you sort of have to sell. What you can do is just trade a confirmation entry. So you can miss these first ones, and you just make sure the trend is actually a trend. And you can wait for it to pump again, and then maybe you buy a bit higher in the next retest. And this is like what's known as your confirmation entry. So a lot of people who think they missed it, you can actually buy higher up and be in line with the trend and still get a really nice move. Like if this goes up to the highs, this is still like huge. You buy a bit later. But yeah, for now, like that breaking market structure and closing above the daily is kind of like the golden ticket, right? Getting both those things in confluence with each other. So I think that's kind of the level there, just to close above 0.345, give or take.
Okay, cool. I want to keep it under 45, so let's wrap it up there in terms of alts. If you guys want to stay up to date with all the trades, so obviously if you're in Mars High Club, that is where it's all going down, especially the traders hub. If you are in Mars High Club, and you're not in there, definitely get in there if you're opening some trades because we have amazing support. I mean, Paradise is in there, Moran, Nodi. We have some of our apprentices, Strolly. If you go into talent analysis, we have a lot of people where, constantly promoting and as they prove themselves and they're posting ideas. So it's just a place. If you're just checking it every day, even if it's 30 minutes a day for some feedback, 1 hour a day, it doesn't take a huge amount of time, but you're going to find a lot of stuff that you're just not going to find on your own. And then, of course, Paradise has these dedicated channels. So do I. So does Fabian. So does Moran. So it's a good place to be right now, I think, especially as the market picks up. This is kind of where you make your membership money. There are times where the market's quiet or down and we're just saying, sit on your hands, sit on your hands, sit on your hands. And then there might be a week where it's like, now we have like 10 trades. And that's where you make your money and that's where you bank. That's kind of how I view crypto. Like you bank like 6 months of memberships in a week, and then you sit on your hands. Then you wait for another period. That's kind of, I think, and then during those slow periods, you focus on education and improving your skills. So then when the next risk on period comes, then you make a bunch of money. And I think that's the best way to really go about like maximizing these groups.
Yeah, me too. Cyclical like that. It's good. You come back for each pump with like a bit more knowledge.
It kind of frustrates me because I think the group's getting better. Some people cancel their memberships. It's like that's quite dumb because you want to use the strong periods as a chance to compound. And then you just want to use the education, which is only getting better, especially with the trading course that's launching. You want to use those slow periods to educate. And then you should make even more money during the next pump. But if you cancel during that boring period, just because you're bored, well then, the next week, you might not be around to actually reap the fruits of your labor. So I think most people's psychology, and it's not just in terms of my group, this is just the psychology of the market in general. People just clock off when it's boring, which is like literally the worst thing you can do. And I just like, even views on all the crypto channels are down right now. It's why most people, like, to be quite frank, are never going to make money in markets, not just crypto, ever in life or markets, because there's shit times where all you're going to do is lose, but you have to be there, engaged to learn. And there'll be crap times if you're an entrepreneur where you're launching a business and it's going to be crap and it's going to suck and you're going to have a horrible period where your sales are going down and, you know, employees are quitting, and like, you'll go through these terrible phases. So if every time that happens, if you just quit, how do you expect to be there, like, when things turn? So humans are just by nature not, I don't know, most of humans are just lazy. And I mean, I might get some negative comments. People are like, oh, but that's easy to say. Like, trust me, I've lost a lot of money at times as well in the last 6 months, like a lot. But you got to learn. You just got to keep learning, keep taking the losses on the chin, keep improving, and then every time there's a little uptrend in the market, I make multiples on what I used to make. Like, even this tiny tinsy little move over the last week, in the scheme of things, I've made like more than what my big moves used to be like 2 years ago. Like, my huge weeks are now like nothing compared to what I can do in 3 days of like a tiny move, let alone what happens when a big move happens. That's just because I'm always here. I never miss a move because I'm always here. So if you're someone that just quits whenever things get tough, how are you going to be there for even the best few days in the market? Sorry, I'm ranting now, but yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think, partially agree. I think obviously some people can't afford to stay in the group, and that's totally fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think I actually saw a member mention this morning, I can't remember what channel it was. They said they've just come back today because of the volume we've had, the pump. But now they have to learn how to trade while the move's happening, versus the ones that stayed in and learned how to trade while the market was down, and now they have the skills equipped to actually take control of the moves as they come.
I'm not just, by the way, I was
like
talking generally. I wasn't just referencing MHC. Like, I'm just talking whether you pay or don't pay. I'm just talking in general. People's attention seems to be just based on price action, which is quite frustrating as a content creator, because if you think about the paradox from my perspective, I could have the best alpha when the market's low. Like a couple of weeks ago, right? When I said, like, I'm loading up a Bitcoin to 75, right? That video gets 15,000 views because everyone's bored at the time or bearish at the time. Now, flip, 6 months later, the market might be super bullish and I might be getting 80,000 views. So, and at that point, the market risk reward is not as good as what it was when I was getting 15,000 views because the market was bearish. So, like, it seems like the algorithms just incentivize, and psychology just incentivizes bullishness at the top and bearishness at the bottom. And that's kind of why these algorithms aren't really that set up to help people succeed, because you're not clicking on the videos, so you're not even seeing them come up on your feed when the market's bearish, even though that's the time when you actually really need to be watching them. When the views are low, that's actually when you want to be watching them. And then when the views are high, ironically, that's when you either, you still want to be watching them for maybe short-term trades, but that's not when you're positioning long-term. When the views are super high, that's where maybe you're just watching to get some scalps and, just new ideas for some short-term trades. But by then, your long-term setups were already well set for like months before that. So yeah, it's kind of this paradox of like, being a content creator, where it's just like it's just completely opposite to what you should be doing. It's bizarre. It's like the only industry. Oh, it's not the only industry. It's all markets, but yeah, psychology is just weird.
Hey, before we wrap up, go back to Discord quickly.
Yeah.
Just want to give people who are in the group, and also not, in case anyone is planning on joining, go down to the bots.
Oh yeah.
So right now, I think this is one of the best things about the Discord. A lot of my focus is on the H1 and the H4 timeframes. Go to the H1. Quite simply, like those noodle bounces on the 1 hour and 4 hour, they are showing you everything on the Binance and Bybit watch list, which is like over 500 tickers, effectively showing you what is bouncing for continuation plays off the noodle. So I think for anyone who's interested in joining, these sort of pay for the groups for themselves, because they're just basically showing you where momentum is without you having to scan every single ticker in the watch list every hour. So worth their weight in gold. And that's kind of what I've just been basing a lot of my momentum intraday trades based on.
It's genius. Yeah, every hour you have new setups essentially.
Every 15 minutes.
If you're a day, I know not all, not a lot of you are day traders, but if you are watching this and you're a day trader, like you can pretty much just have the Discord on one monitor, have your charts or whatever on another, and just kind of, work your 9 to 5 almost, just scanning all the setups.
Yeah.
I know people in the group that do that, but I know not everyone has the time, right? But if you are a person that has the time, it's a great feature.
Well, these bot alerts are good too because they trigger a few minutes before the candle close. So things could turn around in those few minutes, but most of the time they don't. So you're sort of getting a front run idea for people that are waiting for the close, and you can sort of just immediately market into these things if they look good.
And for people that don't have the time for the scalping stuff, that's why we have 12-hour and daily as well. 12 hours not currently live.
12
daily
hours
is live.
being developed at the moment. Yeah. Should be ready this week.
So if you're just, looking to take higher time frame trades and you only have time after work, for example, and you just want to see what's doing all right, then or doing badly, then you just look at the daily. So you just change your time frame and your approach based on how much time you have. Like I don't have time to scalp. I said before, I'm very busy. So that's why you'll notice most of my charts are on the daily. I'm not looking so much on the lower time frames. I might go down for an exact entry, but I'm not, scalping as much as Paradise, who might take something intraday. So that's, I think, the key difference. And you got to find out what works for you.
Man, when I first learned to trade and I had a full-time job, I was trading just on the H4, the 4-hour, because you can just check 2 candle closes. So if you work an 8-hour day and you get 2 candle closes, you only have to check twice a day. So it's really good for full-time workers, that time frame.
That's a very good. Yeah, it's very good because daily you don't get set up sometimes for 2 days, whereas this will be like you still get your daily trades. So yeah, it's good.
Anyway,
cool, bro. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
See you guys in the next one.
Do it next week. Yeah.
Peace. Yeah, hopefully there's some action. I'm sure there will be.